What's going on, everybody? Thursday. It's time to give you guys a little bit of a rundown for this week on Lake Fork. We're in midsummer, and it is hot. Hot, 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 hot. And I mean, look, I came from Arizona. Arizona's 118, 120 degrees, literally. The cool temperature at night is 98. That's as low as it gets. It's a dry heat. There is no humidity. Being here at 95, 93, 95 with 70% humidity that makes it feel like 110 is probably the most miserable I've ever been in my life. We've had a very wet year. We've had strange weather patterns of rain, which is now finished. My lawn, for example, usually by July, it's most of our lawns are dried up. My pond starts to retract and drop a little bit. It's full at its peak. My grass is super green, mowing it every 5 to 6 days. The moisture, the humidity, all these things combined. In the 10 years that I've been here, this is the first time that has bothered me, and it is hot. If you're not taking care of yourself, you need to. Be very careful. You can dehydrate, you can have heat stroke, you can really have a lot of issues. You should drink about 8 bottles of water a day. 8 bottles of water is a gallon of water. That's what most doctors say you need this time of year. The worst thing about it is that humidity, you sweat. And if you're texting, you're just laughing because you know this already. But if you're some of my friends and followers and stuff from the West Coast, you sweat. Sweat cools your body. When the humidity is so high, it doesn't do anything. You just get soaked. The other day I got home and I decided to do a couple chores. And in 15 minutes of doing outside chores, my shirt was soaked, my pants and my underwear were even soaked in 15 minutes. And it just doesn't, dripping off my forehead, just pouring off my forehead like someone took a cup of water and poured it over my head. It's unbelievable. And the sweat doesn't cool you off. It just makes you, it really kind of, I don't know, makes you more miserable. But hey, that's enough of the blah, blah, blah. Let's give you a little fishing report. Lake is still dropping. We're in a pretty common summer pattern, okay? From Monday to today, in 4 days, we've lost an inch. That's not bad. We can usually lose more than that. Basically, about 1/4 of an inch to 3/4 of an inch every day. We usually lose sometimes an inch a day in the summer. We have 1/4 inch of rate of flow, which is what they release. We have at least 1/4 inch of usage, and sometimes up to a 1/2 inch, believe it or not, of evaporation on the lake when things are dry. We're moist right now, and the air still, trees are green, everything's green, it's high humidity stuff. I don't think we're having the evaporation as much. So as you can see, we're the slow rate of dropping, but we are falling. Remember, falling water points them out. 0 to 1 clarity, 88 to 93 is your temperatures. You're going to be about 87. You might find some cooler even early in the mornings, 86s. But by midday, the end of the day, it's 92, 93. There are some fish biting. It's actually okay. And there's some ways to catch them. You got a topwater bite. It's early morning only. It's the first couple hours. And really very important to be in the right place. But there is a topwater bite. A walking topwater bite is a better one than the popping. And there's also shallow bite, spinnerbait, chatterbait, something moving, not necessarily a crankbait or square bill, but moving baits. A spoon, for example. You can use a 3 to 4 to 5 inch Lake Fork flutter spoon. And you can find some schooling fish, but there are shallow fish, and I mean shallow fish that you can actually just go fish some Texas rig stuff, Texas rig creature baits, speed craws, trick worms, things like that. And if you fish in the right place, remember, wind is your friend. Wind, any wind at all, wind-blown banks, wind-blown brush, go flip the brush. Green is your friend, and I don't mean the color of your worm, I mean green. Green vegetation growing, green vegetation in the water, green trees in the water. Those tips right there might help you dial in on catching some fish on Fork right now. I got friends that are catching quite a few fish that are under the slot by drop shotting brush piles with small baits, small finesse worms and things like that, small trick worms, nose hooking little, I don't want to say flukes, but nose hooking smaller baits, smaller robo worms, or nose hooking gulp minnows, live minnow, or not a live minnow, but gulp. They got a gulp live shad and things like that. You can fish those brush piles, and you'll catch more fish, but you're not going to catch those big ones. The big fish again, are very mixed, shallow water from 2 foot to 20 foot. Your best bet for big bite on fork, your big bite, is to, again, top waters first thing, couple hours, and then get offshore and grind through it. Just grind some of those deeper offshore structures, road beds, things like that, big worms, football jigs, Carolina rig, creature baits. And then the final, which I really recommend, would be the nighttime. Go fish the night lights on fork. There is over 140 sets of underwater fiber optic green lights on the docks. The people and their homeowners have to have them on, have to turn them on. They're not always on. But if you do some homework and you find some sets of green night lights that the fish come to at night, it will blow your mind at how many big fish you can see, whether you're catching them or not. You'll see them roaming, you see the shadows. And of course, in the right place, in the right situation, you can really, really catch some giant fish in the summertime at night on those green dock lights. A lot of times a small square bill is a really good bait. Again, the small spoon, 3-inch flutter spoon from Lake Fork Trophy Lures. That's a great one. And even top water in the middle of the night, they hear it, a popper. But the green lights, find yourself some green lights and it'll blow your mind at how good the fishing can be. Let's give you guys a little more information. I don't have my glasses, so this is going to be tricky to read. But let's move on. So that's kind of the deal on Lake Fork. Let's tell you a little bit about Ray Hubbard. So Ray Hubbard with my friend Joe Shipley. Water temperatures, again, 86, 88. Trick worms, like the Bass Assassin tap-out worm, or the small assassin worm, or small, it's called the little tapper. The Bass Assassin little tapper is a finesse worm. Use that on a drop shot or shaky head, on basically brush piles, rock piles, points, the marina structures. Those are your best areas. And the best colors are watermelon red and red bug. Lake Possum Kingdom with my friend Pete Hernandez. Bass fishing's great there. Here we go again, talking about green dock lights at Possum Kingdom. If you'll fish top water by an hour before daybreak on the green dock lights, that's producing some great catches. And not just big fish, but bags, sacks of them, meaning 5-fish bags of those. Your best bite, again, is an hour before the sun gets up. Berkeley Bullet Pop is what I really suggest there. Once that sun gets up, go to the big worms. Get yourself offshore in the deep points, ledges, rock piles, 15 to 25 feet of water. That's going to be your best target range. And, of course, the big worms, 10 to 12-inch worms, whether it's Bass Assassin, assassin worm, or power worms, power worms, or Zoom, Old Monster, whatever. You want those in purple, plum apple, and red shad. I love red shad this time of year. Lake Lavon, bass fishing with Carrie Thorne. Texas rigs and jigs, white spinner baits real early. The fish, again, are scattered 5 to 25 feet, just like Lake Fork. We've had that happening this year because of the crazy weather patterns. But a lot of the fish are coming around brush piles, concrete, riprap, shorelines. Don't overlook the submerged road beds. If you really look hard at those submerged road beds and deep rock piles on Lavon, you might just find a big school of fish that are hungry. You can really clean up. I told you about Lake Fork, so we're done with the bass fishing. Moving on, giving you a little crappie report. Lake Lavon, Carrie Thorne says it's still good. Crappie are on minnows and not as good on jigs. He is using a 1/16 ounce to 1/8 ounce jig, white or black, in the soft plastics instead of the hair jigs. And then he's also fishing with a minnow. Tip it with a minnow, or just use a live minnow. And he says they're in the timber, 15 to 20 foot of water. Your brush piles in the same depth range are also producing fish as well. And sunny days are your best days. So the fish get tighter to the structure on sunny days. Lake Fork crappie fishing with Jackie Wiggins. Hardest working guy that I've ever seen in my life, literally. The guy works doubles and triples. He cleans the fish. He fills the sack every time. I mean it. He does whatever it takes to fill the sack, which is 25 fish per person. I mean, I've never seen a guy so ambitious, so hardworking as this man, Jackie Wiggins. You want a great crappie fishing trip, book with him. He says the dog days of summer are settling in. Crappie fishing has slowed down on Fork. It's time to break out the minnows and the smaller baits, okay? And basically, the fish are tricky. And the key that Jackie says is you're going to fish your typical summer stuff, your deep laydowns, brush at piles, trees, bridges, ledges, things like that, all the hot summer spots. But you got to move around a lot. And he says if they're not biting, don't sit on them. Don't waste your time. Go find new fish that are willing to bite. And if those fish start to bite and quit biting, move on. Don't stay with them any longer. So kind of seems like hopping and moving. He said, a lot of days they're picking up a few fish here and there and a few fish here. Keep on moving. By the end of the day, you got a good mess to head in. And that's why I said this guy works. He doesn't just sit, take it. He goes and gets it. And again, he says the same thing. In the summertime, your minnows, live minnows, are your best bet. All right. If you like stripers and white bass, Lake Lavon and Tawakoni both produce some great white bass fishing. And Lavon doesn't, I don't believe, has the hybrids and the stripers, but Tawakoni has the hybrids and stripers. 1 to 2 ounce slab spoons with a marabou jig, 18 inches above. So if you'll tie a marabou jig on your line first, use a Palomar knot like you're doing a drop shot rig. Leave about a 20-inch leader, 24-inch leader, and tie a slab spoon, a 1 ounce slab spoon down on the bottom. So it'd be like a drop shot rig with a marabou hair jig, white, okay, or white chartreuse, and then your slab spoon is your weight. If you will actually fish those in 15 to 25 feet on main lake points in both Tawakoni and Lavon, what can happen is when you run into the schools of fish, you'll catch one on that spoon. And as that fish is fighting, it's dragging that marabou jig around, and you'll catch a second one on that marabou jig. And Kerry Thorne says he does it all the time. It just cleans up, and it's a blast. You get two big hybrids on at the same time, it's a kick in the pants, I promise you. It happens more frequently with white bass, but you get that going with them hybrids, and man, you got 2 5-pound fish trying to go 2 different directions, and it's chaos, but it's a lot of fun. So try that between Lavon and Tawakoni. And then I don't really have any catfish reports this week publicly, but I'm going to tell you the same old thing I always tell you in these reports. For the catfish, I don't care what lake you go to. If you'll just bring a little sour maize or some cattle cubes and chum an area the day before you go, don't over chum it. 3, 4, 5 pounds worth is more than enough. And maybe even put it in a sack right now. Put it in some like a burlap sack or stockings, ladies' stockings or something, so they can't just gorge it and eat it. Make them work at it. But you'll draw fish in. You're allowed to chum here in Texas. So if you will chum a spot, I prefer about 18 to 22 feet of water right now. It's summer. Chum the spot the day before. Come the next day with just some simple tub bait, stink bait, something cheap, chicken livers. Don't use high-dollar night crawlers or anything expensive. Just cheap stuff. But the key is to chum the hole the day before. You will clean up and you will catch all the channel catfish you want. I promise you. Especially on like Lavon and Fork. Kerry Thorne says on Lavon he likes to find rock piles. And he'll pour that sour maize in the rock piles. It falls down into the cracks and the grooves of the rocks. It makes them work longer to get the bait, so they stay in the area for longer, hunting and searching, trying to get to that food. Again, keeping them around longer for you to get time to catch them. But that's kind of it, guys. I really appreciate you watching. If you want more details, if you are interested in, I gave you a Lake Fork report. Told you topwater bite. I told you there's a drop shot bite. I told you there's a big worm bite. If you want specifics, you want key locations, you want names, you want names of spots, you want the color of the topwaters, you want the techniques of the topwater that we're using right now. I suggest that you give my members only channel a try. Again, as always, this is your invitation to come over and become a member. It's $4.99 per month to subscribe to my members only channel. Look in the description below this video. Okay, click out of this video, look in the description below it, and you'll see a link to members only. Subscribe, give it a try. If you don't like it, unsubscribe. How many lures do you buy trying to catch bass? How many times do you go to the lake and pull into the marina and they say they're biting this and you buy it and maybe don't catch fish, all right? And you're stuck with it. This report that I just gave you is brief. It's basic for Lake Fork, okay? I do a members only channel where I spill my guts and I tell you exactly what's going on 110% and how to do it, where they are, what we're doing. Give it a try. Members only channel. Once you try that, if you like the members only channel and you're finding that good and you really want to learn more, you want to become a better, more knowledgeable bass fisherman overall, you might be interested in my Let's Talk Fishing. It is a one more upgrade. It's $9.99 a month and it comes with all access to the members channels. but it comes with a lesson once a week, a 45 to 1 hour minute lesson, 1 hour lesson every single week of topics, how to do topics. Everything from, man, I've ranged, there's 30 right now. If you become a member, a Let's Talk member, you can go back and watch 30 videos in the archives and learn everything about all the baits, everything from topwaters, crankbaits, spinnerbaits, chatterbaits, underspins, big worms, jigs, Carolina rigs, on and on. I covered all of those. I covered springtime. I covered swim baits. I covered glide baits. I mean, there is 30 plus videos, 30 lessons, 30 hours worth of lessons of learning how to be a better bass fisherman. Everything from taking care of your fishing line, quality clothes and sunblock, keeping yourself clothing, how to keep yourself warm on the lake. It's insane, and people are loving the channel. Okay, again, give it a try, because if you don't like it, you can unsubscribe. Give it a try. Look in the description below. Let's Talk Fishing member. Give it a try. I'm asking you. Also, in the Let's Talk, once a month I do a giveaway, and a prize drawing giveaway to a Let's Talk Fishing member of a value of over $100 to $125 to $150 worth of fishing products that are given away once a month. Unbelievable deal for basically an additional $4.99 a month. All right, that's it. That's my spiel. Thank you. Hit the like button, comment below. I wish you all great fishing, and thank you so much for watching.